Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are today listening to this video, or watching this video should I say, sorry. This is going to be a video on the portfolio again. These are different images this time that I'm showing you. These are the images that, or some of the images I've done when I was at Blackpool. So they show some of the techniques, the themes that we was talking about over the last few weeks. So to start with, these here are your 11 images that you have to do. So I want you to do them in the order. So I want them in the portfolio in the order that we previously discussed. So the only thing that's changed is you've no longer got the word photography, but I want to have the themes going into the same order as we had set out. This makes it easy for the marking process. So I know your first one is your leading lines, followed by negative space, framing, and so on. So say for example, if you can't get a framing image, then see if you can get a second negative space or a second shape. So then it would, for example, go leading line, negative space, shape. Or it could be leading line, negative space, shape and shape. Now I'll allow you to do that on up to 2 of the themes. So for example, if you can't get a grouping image and you can't get a color image, then I'll allow you to duplicate on 2 of the other themes. But make sure if you're duplicating on any theme that you put both of the images together. So like I say, if you do 2 negative space, make sure that they're together in the portfolio and they are labeled as being negative space. It just makes things a lot easier when we come to do the marking on it. And on your front page you need to have your student name, module title, module code, convener's name and university logo. So those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that you definitely need to have. So also I've missed out on there your university number as well. So that's your student name, university number, module title, module code, convener's name, university logo, and then also the your university number as well. So make sure that those items are on the front cover so we know who you are. So as well as having the 11 images, the 11 images and their themes, you also need to have a 700 word reflection on your portfolio. Now what I do want from the 700 word reflection, okay, now you've got a 10% leeway on this, so that's minus 10% or plus 10% of the 700 word count. So but what I need from this 700 word reflection is for it to be really a more positive, I was going to say peasant, more positive reflection on your portfolio, what you liked doing about the portfolio and how you went about doing it. The challenges, there's definitely going to be challenges within the portfolio that you've done, but how you overcame those challenges. Be positive with the reflection. So obviously if something went wrong, how did you overcome the thing that went wrong? So that's what we're looking for, is to actually see a positive reflection on your photography rather than it being negative. If it's all negative, then it's not going to stand you in good stead. We need to see a positive reflection on your portfolio. Okay, so I'll just close that down for the moment. All right, so what I've done here, right, is I'm not expecting you to follow it in the same kind of way that I've done this, but this is using the Affinity software that we have on the university machines, but you can also, Affinity have released the software, all of their software, so the publisher, the designer and the photo, they've released all their software free of charge for 3 months. So if you've got the capabilities of actually downloading the software, then you don't have, it's free of charge. You can use it free as much as you want over the next 3 months, which would then, done that in mid-March, so that would be mid-April, mid-May, mid-June, that the software is free for. So I've just laid this portfolio out in Affinity Publisher. Now what Steve's done, Steve's taken this file that I've done and he's done a walkthrough on how I did it, so that if you wanted to follow the walkthrough you can do. But if you want to lay your portfolio out in PowerPoint or Word or any other page layout document, that's fine, you can do that. The only thing that we do need is for it to be as a PDF, so it needs to be handed in as a PDF. How you're going to hand in that PDF at the moment, we're still talking to IT about that, how we can actually do that, because you was going to be putting it onto a USB stick and handing it that way. That now might not happen, so we're finding out from IT how we can actually do that. And as soon as we've got that information, which hopefully will be by the end of this week, beginning of next week, we will let you know. Okay, so what I've done here is this this particular image here was, I created this one in Photoshop, but Steve will show you how you can do something similar to it just in Affinity Publisher. So this is one image here, an upright image, which I've laid down on the page, and then these ones here are landscape images that I've laid down the side, just to give some kind of index to those images which are in my portfolio, and I put the page number there. So this is the title of my portfolio that I've created. So I've called mine Urban Photography. So you need to have a title for your portfolio. I just don't want you calling it Photography Portfolio. Put a bit of thought into what you're going to call it. And I've just used like the negative space within the page to actually then lay my text onto it. So I didn't want an image, so your front cover has got to be a leading line, but obviously you've got to lay text onto that. Now people have asked me, can they use another image apart from a leading line for their front cover? The answer is simply no. That's one of the marking criteria that we've gone from, is that you're using a leading line image, but you've obviously got to put negative space into that leading line image. So I'm making it a little bit more difficult for you. I've taken away the photography word. If I take away a leading line front page and start allowing you to do any images, then it loses any consistency across the whole of the board for all of you students. That's why I want it to remain that you follow down the set of the themes like I've asked you to, so that we've got some consistency to help with the marking, and it makes it a lot easier not easier, but consistently for us. So I've got a a leading line image. So here's leading lines going on all over the place, leading lines coming in. But I also shot this image so that I'd have negative space, and this is how I've laid out the written information. So I've got the university logo there. There's my name there. Remember, that needs to be my name and not Steve Galloway's. He's not the module convener. I am. Steve is the technical support for the module. Okay, so we need to make sure that that is correct. And I'm being pedantic, but it's information what needs to be there. So then we've got the student's name, your ID number, the name of the module, our course module, and so on. So there's all the information there. So that's how I've laid out a front cover. You know, like I say, you don't have to use this software. You can use any software you want to. We're just giving you, you know, ideas on how you can lay out the pages and how it could work. And but you know, you choose to do that how you want to. So go to the next page. So I had a leading line for the front cover. I haven't got a repeating elements in this portfolio, so I've included 2 leading line images in my portfolio. And again, this is just giving you some kind of guide to how you maybe could lay it out. How you lay it out is entirely up to you. So the rest of the images that I've put in are all landscape images, and here I put the name at the top of the page so there's no confusion as to what type of image this is. So if I don't know what image you're putting in, I can't mark it very well. I could take a guess that it might be negative space. I could take a guess that it might be framing or anything. If you're not telling me what image you're representing here, then you know it's me guessing, and I might guess wrong. And if I guess wrong, then that's obviously going to affect the way that I mark the piece of work. Again, these are just ideas that I'm doing for you. How you lay it out is entirely up to you. But I put in my page number here, and if we went back to my front cover, look there, I've got the image and a number of the pages at, so it's just giving the viewer some indication as to where those images will actually be within the portfolio. So leading lines is the name of it, and if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can give your image a name. I've called this one here Rough C, so it's up to you. But then you've got your technical detail. Again, how you put the technical detail into the page is your choice in design. All I've done there is put the name of the camera that I've actually used, and there's my technical information there. So if you've been using an iPhone or a smartphone for doing your photography, you might be able to find out what aperture you've been using by looking in something like Adobe Bridge or something like that, but I'm not too sure on the shutter speed, so you might have to email Steve to find out how you actually gain that information out. But I'm not going to go through every aspect of these images here, but I'm going to give you some pointers, you know, as to why I shot these images and what I was looking for when I done these particular images. So the first thing what really caught my eye was up in this area here. See the spray coming in off of the sea. I was really drawn to that, and it gave it sort of like this hazy kind of look there. So this is when I decided to use the wall going towards this area here. So when I first looked at the image, I was actually thinking about, you know, having the wall coming from the bottom corner here, so it would lead in from there, but that meant I lost the tower and I like the fact that the spray was going up towards the tower, so that's why I've kept this particular leading line over, you know, from this area here. Normally I'd try and get a leading line in there, but it's just the way that I photograph. It's not, you know, you must do that. That's just the particular way that I photograph. So that's what I did here. But I've also got this leading line coming in from the pier here, which is actually, you know, going towards the Blackpool Tower, which I quite liked. And one thing you've got to do, if you've got horizons within your image, okay, make sure that those horizons are level. The last thing we want is a horizon coming down at a, you know, an angle. You know, the world apparently is flat according to some people, and we have to show it in that form. So that's why we need to have straight horizons. So the horizon, where you put the horizon in the picture, doesn't really matter whether it's, you know, further up in the image or further down in the image. It's entirely up to you. But, you know, what we need to do is, and I purposely done, this is the way I purposely shot this image here, you'll see that this leading line here is almost level when you look across to being with this one, but the sea comes across, and I've made sure that the pier isn't sort of like below that horizon or above that horizon. So now the horizon actually acts as a leading line for me, and then the leading line, so we're actually got this nice leading line going on, so it points to many directions within the image. So have a look at my next page here. This is where I've decided to lay out my 700 word reflection. So all of this, okay, and I've just used the Ipsum as a fill-in text. All of that is 700 words, right? So that's 700 words that I've put into Ipsum. And what you need to do, okay, is how you lay this out, whether you lay it out on one page, okay, or you lay it out over several pages. Again, you can choose to lay it out which way you want, but what you mustn't do is have a mass of 700 words all lumped together, because that's very, very daunting when somebody opens up a page and you've got this big block of written information in front of you. You know, you go, oh my God, I've got to read all that. So break it down, have smaller sections of writing, okay, and then you've got a gap, so that just makes it, you know, like you built in a pause for the reader to take a moment and reflect, which is actually the information here. Okay, then we can go on to the next part of it as well. I've used little breaks like this where I've used quotes from photographers to help break up the actual structure of the page. So it just, you know, gives in that time to pause and think about what the writer is actually putting into the page. I've also included in this page an unmarked image, so I put an additional image into the page. Again, you don't have to do this, but you could, if you wanted to, actually put in, you know, a couple of more images if you wanted to pad it out. But if you put in an unmarked image, make sure that you just mark it with an asterisk or something like that, and have a little index to say that that image is unmarked, because if I don't know, again, it might cause confusion. But it's something if you want to do, you can do. It just adds a little bit more context to the portfolio, and just, you know, gives it a little bit more of a professional look. You can, if you just want to simply lay pages down, or images, sorry, down onto a PowerPoint presentation with your information, I'm quite happy with that. If you want to take it a little bit further, you know, if you feel that you've got the time to do that, then again, I'm happy for you to do that. If you're a second year and you're going to be progressing on to the third year, we do magazines, we do small sections of magazines, so we go through page layout and design and stuff like that a little bit more. So it could, you know, this could be the beginning of doing the third year. If you're a third year and you're looking to maybe do the MSc again, this could be practice for stuff that we do in the future. If you want to keep it basic and simple, I'm quite happy for you to do that. But also else within my my design, I put again, you know, the student name and number up in this column here, and I put the name of the course and the course number up there just to add a little bit more to the design. Then I've started to lay my pages out. So again, I'm just trying to keep a consistent feeling going through the portfolio. So what I'm doing on alternative pages, again, this is just my choice, is I'm putting in quotes that I've found that photographers have said and stuff like that. I'm keeping trying to keep the name of the theme in the same place on each page. And again, I've got a title to the image. If you want to do that, that's fine, but make sure you've got the name of the theme. And again, I've got my info there, technical info, in the same place. So if you try to keep this information always in the same place, the marker will know where to look. They're not having to look around the page to actually then start to find information. If it's always in the same place, if you keep your technical information in the same place, I know where to look for that technical information. If you keep the name of the theme in the same place in every page, then I know there to look for the that's where I need to look for the name of it. So this one here I've titled as being a negative space, because there's quite a lot of actual negative space going on within the page. But if we actually look at it, we could have this image, if we wanted to, as being a pattern image as well, because we've got, you know, the pattern within the brick. We've got the structure, a way that it's been designed, so there's very strong pattern in there. But then also this could be a shape image if we want, because there's a shape going on there, there's a shape going on there, and you've got these shapes here as well. So like I've said before, not always does one image just represent one theme. It could have several themes in it. But if you put this one down as being a negative space, or you put it down as being a shape or a pattern one, I'm quite happy for that. If you put this one down as being a framing shot, it's not a framing shot. If you put it down as being a repeating elements shot, it's not that either. So, you know, there could be several different themes within one image, but as long as the theme that you're picking out is quite strong within the actual image, then I'm quite happy for you to say that this one could be a shape image, or, you know, like I said, a pattern image with the bricks and the way that the structure is laid out here. So just think carefully as to what you want to call the particular image. So this one here, I've decided that this is my framing shot, and the reason why I've gone for framing is because naturally I've got these windows here where you're looking through and you see the horizon behind them, so you know that's framing that part of the horizon. And then I like the actual structure here as being a frame for maybe people to sit down within it. And then I like the idea that this railing could also be part of a frame then for the outer environment. So this one we could argue quite strongly, is it a framing picture? That's for you to say whether you agree on that one. I think it's a framing picture. I go on quite strongly on it. But again, look here how there's my horizon, okay, within the image, and I managed to line up the bar here quite nicely with the horizon. So this is what I'm thinking about when I'm doing my photography, is to line up those things so that then that line there, the bar of the windows, was not sitting up here or sitting down there. I wanted that line going all the way through my image to make it look, really nice. The only thing I really dislike about this image is the handrail there, how it's traveling down in this direction here. So I couldn't keep that handrail level and keep the horizon level at the same time, so I had to go for one or the other, and to me the horizon was more important. That I can forgive, okay, but I couldn't forgive if the horizon was not level. This particular image, again done in Blackpool, and I saw these statues in the more into the centre, the urban centre of Blackpool, and I knew I wanted to do something with these statues, so I wanted to make sure that my exposure was coming off of my brightest area, which was the sky, and it was that was a really nice blue sky when we was there on the day. So I knew if I got my exposure off of this bright area here, this would actually throw my statue into a shadow, so it would become almost dark. So I wanted this dark mass, okay, against this really nice blue background. So when I first saw it, that's what I was wanting to go. But then obviously I saw the seagulls flying around as well, and I wanted the seagull to be quite close to the hand, so it looked like the statue was swiping at the seagulls. That was what my attention was, and I actually stood and waited by this statue with my camera pointing up in this direction. It must have been for about 15-20 minutes, and I'm sure people in Blackpool thought I was absolutely crazy, but I managed to get near enough what I wanted. It was close enough. I mean, if I wanted to, I could actually take that bird, that seagull, in Photoshop or Affinity software, and actually move it back closer to the hand if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I try to get things as I shot them at the time. I don't really like to mess around with the images too much or change a position of something, but I'm not against it. That's just me personally that likes to work that way. So that's why I got this one. So for me, I think this one is my my shape. It's definitely a strong shape going on there. So that was my shape image that I've done there. This one, whenever I go to Blackpool, I always go and find this car. It's always in the same place. I don't think it's moved for years. But what I also like, excuse me, what I also like about the actual car as well, or this image, is the actual, the surfaces which are around it. They're very textured surfaces. The pebble dash of the old 1970s building, and the road as well looks very, very, very textured, and so that's what I like about it. And then you've got this kind of like, you look at the car and it feels almost smooth, but when you start getting a bit closer to it, you've got the rust and the damage and so on, and there's texture within the image. So that's what I really like about this image, the texture and the greenish, the harshness of, you know, its surroundings and so on. And I've called this image Boy Rover because when I was a younger man, a kid, these rovers here were driven by what you would call now boy racers, but whenever you saw one, you always used to call them boy rovers because they would always drive these cars around all over the place. Again, there's my technical detail, keeping things the same, and I've got another quote in there with the way that I've laid out the page. My communication image, so you know, I've got the fella there is obviously communicating something to the lady there as well. And what really drew me, first of all, what I saw first was obviously the blue sky, but then the red of the life buoy, and that was what was attracting me to this particular image. First of all, I wasn't taking this image for a communication image. I was taking it more for the colour, what was going on in the image first of all, but then these two people just came in from this direction here, happened to stop, and he's pointed to something, so obviously he's talking about something, so there's a bit of a communication going on there. So this one I've got as my grouping shot, and this one came on me kind of like quite quickly. I noticed the Sea King helicopter coming in first of all, and I was interested in, you know, the size of the bird and the size of the helicopter. So I didn't really notice these two here first of all. It was more what was going on here that was more interesting to me, and then I noticed that there was these three here. So I kind of like grouping shot, isn't it, really? You know, I'm pushing it a little bit, but that's me. This is me diminishing one. So, you know, the steps getting smaller as we go up. And then I've got this one here, really like for the colour, and this one here for the pattern of the building as well. So that's just a short insight there for you into the way that, you know, you could lay out your portfolio if you wanted to. So that's just using Affinity Publisher. Like I say, Steve's done a walkthrough on how you can use the software. The way that I've done this particular layout is not using all of the tools. It's not very difficult. There's only a few tools like placing the images in and then text tool and stuff like that. If you watch Steve's walkthrough on it, you'll be able to pick it up quite easily. So it gives you an option on how you can lay out your portfolio rather than just, you know, laying images down into a PowerPoint. There's nothing wrong with that, but just think about, you know, your presentation of your portfolio. You've got to make it look as professional and clean and nice and tidy as you possibly can. Just don't do it at like last minute, just throwing images down onto a PowerPoint and thinking, oh, that'll do, when it might not be the case. You know, just think about the colours within the images. So in this particular one here, this colour here that I've used as a background for the urban photography, I've actually taken a colour sample from over here so that it would be the same. So I've got a reflection of colour going on. what I could have done as well, you see the colour of the building there, I could have used that for, you know, the name, the title, but I wanted to keep the whites of the university logo running through the actual wording within it as well. So if I'd use the colour from here to reflect in the banner here, then we'd have an oddity. What do I do with the university logo, and then what do I do for this information here and this information here? Because we've got to try and keep these colours the same. Now, if you've got the skill and the ability to actually change the colour of the university logo to match something within, I'm quite happy for you to do that. It doesn't have to be the white one, the blue one, or the black one. I'm quite happy for you to mess around if you've got the skill, the ability to do that within the university logo. But what I'd like you to do is keep the colour formation within the wording on the front page all the same colour. Okay then, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening. You got any questions, don't forget, drop me an email. I'm happy to answer any of the emails that come through. So thank you and goodbye for today.